Hello YouTube, it's me again, working on the Cadillac ESV, and I just had a starter malfunction. The thing just said, screw you, I'm done. I would like to give you guys a brief understanding of what it takes to take a starter out. If you're proficient, you can do it in about 25 minutes. Not terribly hard. I'll give you some pointers. Just so you know, you're looking at the old starter, obviously. There are 3 lugs total on the end part of the starter. What you want to do, of course, first to practice safety is disconnect your negative battery terminal, or the positive, preferably just disconnect your battery somehow, and then proceed to take off the outboard lug as you see it from underneath your truck. The outboard lug with the wire on it, which would be this one right here. Alright, and you're also going to remove the lead wire. This is your, the wire that engages the solenoid. The other lug, you don't need to do anything with. As you can see, mine's broken. Part of the problem to this not wanting to start. So the only lugs you got to mess with on this particular removal is the most outboard lug closest to your tire, and the smaller lug, which is your basically the lug that engages the solenoid. And I will get up underneath the truck and I will show you the best way of getting this thing out. It is a very tight spot. You're gonna have to loosen the transmission cooling lines, and you're gonna have to move things out of the way just a little bit, but you can get this out. It's just gonna take some trying on your part. I'm on my way to Advanced Auto right now to pick up the new starter, and I will fill you in and go underneath the truck and show you how. Alright, I'm back from Advanced Auto, having picked up my remanufactured starter. Looks like it's pretty good quality. Again, I'd like to remind you to remove the negative battery terminal. You'll find it on the passenger side under the hood. It is a 10mm nut. Just loosen it just enough to where you can feel movement, and then you can pull the terminal completely off the battery. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and slide underneath the truck now, and I will show you what you should expect. Alright, here I am underneath the truck, and I will show you the direction you need to both remove and install your starter. It's a very tight area. Here's your transmission drip pan. Here are some transmission cooling lines that go to the front of your radiator. And you'll see just across from your sway bar, you'll see an attachment point for these cooling lines. Right here. See that bolt? Alright, that bolt slides into the transmission. Just loosen that. It gives you mobility of this transmission line so you can move it around. Alright, there's a new starter. And what you're going to do is you're going to position your body so that your body is right at the aft part of the passenger front tire. And you're going to take your arm and you're going to bring it up, your left arm, you're going to bring it up along the top of the frame rail, and you're going to have access to the starter by going up that direction. Alright, so you can maneuver the starter around. And then of course you could use your hand on the other side of the aft part of your sway bar to also manipulate the starter a little bit, but the majority of the manipulating will be done with your left hand from the top of the frame rail through the wheel well. Okay, now the starter, I managed to get it back up into this position, but you will see that when you take the starter out, it's going to be a little difficult getting it out, but just keep moving it around. You'll eventually get it out. Alright, and what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up bringing the starter down, and you're going to see that you have very little access. You're going to have a little bit of sway on these cooling lines. And you're going to bring the starter past the aft side of your sway bar, past the catalytic converter, between the catalytic converter and your transmission. That's where you're going to be able to slide your starter out. Just keep turning the starter in a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation until you find the right setup, and then you'll be able to get the starter out and back in. Fairly easy. I mean, it will fight you a little bit. Alright? And now I'm going to go ahead and install the starter. I'm sure you guys are getting seasick by this point in time. I apologize. But I just really kind of want you guys to know what's entailed and behind getting this thing in here. It's a tight fit. It's greasy. It's pretty, it can get frustrating, but just don't lose your patience. Keep trying. All right, starter is officially in. And as you can see from my personal viewpoint here, I'm just looking just aft of the forward drive shaft. I have the all-wheel drive 2007 ESV. And you can see from down here the shiny new terminals. You can see the most outboard large terminal coming from the battery. And the terminal that you can't see from this viewpoint is the one right above it. And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not. Yeah, probably not. Not sure if you can see it or not, but you can see the smaller terminal just above it. I apologize. Using the old iPhone to really look it all up. Now you can see on the aft side of the starter, right there, you can see one bolt, and it's a little bit darker, but there's a second bolt right there. All right. Now those two bolts are the bolts that hold the starter in. Taking them out, you will use a, I believe it's a 13mm socket. Take those two down. The terminal lug that I was showing you, the main one, is also 13mm. And you will also be using an 8mm to take off your lead wire, which activates your solenoid, which engages the starter. And one other socket you're going to need while you're under here is a 15mm, which is for the transmission cooling line, which is definitely in the way, and that is the bolt right there. You can see the bracket that holds the two transmission cooling lines on right there. You're going to loosen that with a 15mm socket. So just have a variety of, I used a 15mm shallow socket with a 3-inch extension. I was able to get at it just fine. The bolts for taking down the starter, which you can see right now, I had to use a slightly longer extension. I think it was my 6-inch extension. Yeah, it was this bad boy right here. 6-inch extension with my 3-inch extension on there. And was able to get those bolts out. Now, one thing that I noticed is that inboard bolt closest to the motor. When you go to put that bolt back in, just use your socket and extension and just feed it up with that. Doing it by hand is pointless because it'll keep falling down. Just use your extension and your socket. Place the bolt inside that and then feed it up in there. It's a little bit of a reach. But that should be about it. So when everything's all said and done, there are basically 5 bolts holding your starter in. The majority of the grunt work is getting underneath the truck, which in my case, this thing decided to crap out my driveway. And I have a kind of a gravel / millings driveway, so it's not too, hasn't been too much fun underneath here. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a heads up on how to do this. Like I say, if you have a hard time working with your left hand, I'd have to say this will be very difficult for you, because the majority of the work was done right up through there, right above the frame rail. So just understand that the majority of the work will be left-handed work. Your right hand will be there to assist, but you're not going to be really doing too much with your right hand until you get underneath the truck and you're taking out the actual retention bolts for the starter itself. But I'll go ahead and get out and see if this thing starts up. Hopefully it does. Alright, YouTube users, I have officially connected the battery with the 10mm nut. Now for the moment of truth to see if this thing starts. Now the initial heads up that I had that my starter was bad was I went to turn on the engine, got the regular, lights on the dash, nothing really too special going on. I knew my battery was still good. I verified that also using a voltmeter. My battery was above, just slightly above 12 volts, 12.26 to be exact. And so I knew my battery was good, but I was getting a click every time I went to go start it. I was using both the remote fob and also using the key. And so I went ahead and just started troubleshooting. I tried jumping the solenoid down by the battery. Didn't get anything there, and so I basically figured my windings must have been just all fried, or maybe my brushes or something had just decided to disintegrate. Like I say, this is a 90,000 mile truck. It's a 2007. We're pushing 8 years old here. To get that out of a starter these days, I guess isn't too much to ask out of this truck. But let's just give this a shot, shall we? Just like new. Couldn't be happier to hear that, and couldn't be happier that it decided to stop working in my driveway. That's probably the best situation you could ever ask for. But to be honest with you, this is not the worst replacement that I've done on this truck. The starter probably took me a total of 45 to 50 minutes between removal and replacement. If you have the part on hand, you could do it in 45 to 50 minutes. I had to run to the store and back again, so I'm about an hour and 10, 15 minutes into it. And this is the first time I've ever changed a starter on this particular truck. It wasn't too terribly bad. If you were on the side of the road, stuck in a situation like this, and you can access the bottom of your truck, you can do this. Just have the sockets that I before mentioned, a 10 millimeter to disconnect the negative battery terminal, 13 millimeter socket to take off your battery cable from the outboard side of your solenoid. I'm talking on the tire side. An 8 millimeter socket to take off your lead wire, and a 15 millimeter socket to take off the bolt holding on your cooling lines. If you have those tools on you, on hand, in a small toolkit, you're stuck on the side of the road, there's an auto parts store not too far from you, and you don't want to tow your vehicle, hey, you know what? This is something you could potentially do on the side of the road in an emergency case, all right? But this is my video. I hope it's been helpful to you guys. I didn't even bother looking on YouTube to see if there was a video on this. There's probably more professional ones done, but I just gave you the driveway version. And again, thank you for the views. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And YouTubers, just keep turning those wrenches. Don't be afraid of these trucks. You know, it's cool to be able to do it yourself and save money. So I wish all you the best of luck. And again, thanks for watching.